Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Tavern Talks. Oh my goodness, I almost said Dress to Quest. It's been a day. We've been doing interviews all afternoon for the upcoming show, but we made it. And tonight we have another guest, another exciting opportunity to find out what they're doing in the TTRPG community and how they're running their games and any tips and tricks that might come from that. So I randomly found Dungeons and Cabins. Now, as somebody who went to camps as a child, I was like, "This. Why was this never a thing?" I think for me, it's more of a. I'm from northeastern Ohio, and Dungeons and Dragons wasn't looked at the best back then when I was playing. But now it's changed, and it's had the opportunity to not only grow but grow exponentially with these types of opportunities. So before we start diving into everything, kind of give us a breakdown of who you are, what you do in the TTRPG space, and what this dungeon and cabins thing is.
Sure. I'm Sammy Glicker. I run Dungeons and Cabins. It is a immersive summer camp for adults where what you do at camp affects what happens in the game. So yes, it's a summer camp. Yes, we play D&D,
What?
but
There's
there's a
more.
twist. Yeah. So say you want to take a short rest and go hike to the treehouse and just relax. Well, when you relax, you typically gain health, so there might be a secret hidden health potion card in there. There is, last year we played archery, and so there were prizes if your team wins or if your party wins, if you win an individual stat, maybe you're the worst. Maybe that gives you some kind of boon or boost when you're playing. There's everything that you do affects something else.
Oh
But it's
wow.
not LARPing. We're there and we're campers and we're playing. And then we play the storyline at the table.
So um how long have you been doing this?
We had our first season last year.
Okay, so this is
So it's
fresh.
brand new. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was very successful if I say so myself, and we will be doing it again. I'm ready signed up for next year. I'm writing the storyline already, so we're ready to go with season two.
How many sessions do you put on like during the summer? Is it just one
Um,
week or is it multiple?
last year was one long weekend. It was a Friday to a Monday. This year I'm considering doing two. Because it would be nice to like one of the really nice things about it was the community that showed up. Like my favorite memories are the people. Like I didn't know most of them. A lot of them flew in for this, and the feeling the whole time was just this kind of glowing buzz. It was just happy and magic, and everyone was so excited. And I know a lot of the campers want to come back because it's summer camp. Like you have to go see your friends next year.
Absolutely.
And wouldn't it be nice for more people to have that experience? So my dream is to open it up to have another weekend and eventually maybe it's other game systems, it's themed events, still summer camp, but
Mhm.
like this is the other system camp, this is the Halloween camp, and just do little bonus ones.
So for those that are watching or might watch in the future, where is this at?
This is Southern California, so San Bernardino Mountains, specifically in Running Springs. So about they say an hour from LA, but it's we're gonna hit traffic. I don't care where you're coming from. So it's gonna be about 2 hours from LA, maybe like a three-ish from San Diego. Drivable everywhere from, I think we had someone who drove in from Arizona.
Oh wow.
Hmm.
What was the farthest a camper came from?
New York.
Oh
We
wow.
had two from New York. We had Nebraska. Yeah, pretty far.
That's awesome.
Hmm.
Um,
So
what?
you
Nope,
you
you
ran
go.
games before you started this, right?
What? Say it again.
Did you run games before you started this?
Oh yeah, like at home.
Yeah, so what was that connection to jump from, okay, we're doing this at home at our table to I'm gonna make this a weekend camp.
Yeah, and not just that, it was a weekend long epic. So it was a big jump. I know what I can do at home. And I know I can replicate that at a table. I did not have a lot of experience running for strangers. And so I kept putting myself into these positions where I was running at work, I ran at Comic Con. Like I wanted to feel what it was like in a big room with another table next to me also talking. I talked to people, but I'd already committed. I When I decided to do the project, I didn't know the full extent of the administration work I would be doing and the producing I would be doing and like all of the teeny tiny things, including like, yeah, running the exactly, but relatable, like running everything. But I talked to people about running an epic specifically because that's something that I've never even seen. I know it's obviously done, but like I just personally haven't experienced one. And so there was six parties and they all started on their own storylines. They assumed they were all doing the same thing. And then after the break, they were like, "Oh, did you guys, I don't know, find a girl?" And they're like, "What are you talking? We're in a cave. There's no girls here." And they're like, "A cave? But is it like under the house?" And they're like, "No, there's no houses. That we're in the woods." And so everyone started to put together like they're somewhere else. We're all in Paladin's Retreat, but they're all at different corners of this map.
Uh,
And their storyline started to lead into the middle where eventually they're fighting the same battles in the same space in the same room. And that was like the wildest leap from I can't do that at a home game. There's no one
right.
else at my house playing a game at the same time as me, where then we switch DMs.
Yeah. So the way you had it played it, so is it based on location then at the camp? So like if there were two groups that were in the same location, they would actually be in the same location at the camp?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Eventually they would be. Like it's at Paladin's Retreat because the place is called Pally Retreat. And I thought if they're walking around, they're like, wait a minute. And they're starting to put things together because that was the theme of the weekend of like, everything's on purpose. Everything you see and do and touch is on purpose. And so at one point, the parties, there's three parties in one cabin and three parties in another. And so those ones are on the same battlefield. And there was a trigger point where these hags wanted to complete a ritual with this little girl. And one party starts to get her magical chains off. And as soon as the chain is broken, the hags immediately know. And so that DM gets up from the table and is like, I don't think so. And he starts walking over this way. And the players are like, what is going on? And I was like, sorry guys. And I pick up my stuff. And like the whole battlefield shifts because the minions aren't going to let you fight the hag. That's their
Right.
master. So they go to that table. It was just like this
Oh
rotating because we're all in
wow.
the same. So it's like in introducing the session is like, you see that party and they're fighting this hag. You see this party over here and they're fighting the little minions. This is your chance to save the girl. Save her now. And it was like they didn't know, and I felt a little nervous to kind of spring this on them, but
Yeah.
whew, it worked out fortunately.
Ooh, it worked out.
It was great. Then in the last fight, everyone was in the same room. We all went to the cafeteria for like funsies, right? Just like it's a fun last night at camp. No.
No. Final
Yep.
battle.
Yep.
Awesome.
So what inspiration or how did you gather the idea to do this epic?
It was the idea that like how often are you playing in the same room as another party? Like now increasingly so there are more and more events where you can do this. Bars are holding D&D nights and cons, and
Mhm.
there are more opportunities. I know game stores used to do it, but it's not as common anymore. But I've never had the opportunity, and I'm like, if we're here, let's do it.
Right.
Like that just seemed like one of those like at camp you want to make memories with your new friends, and if you're only at your specific table, there you're missing an opportunity to make friends with other people. And so by having those shared memories, even if you were at different tables and then the last night they got scrambled up. So they were now playing with other campers that they've been talking to all week but didn't get to, physically play with. So I just wanted like this way to create memories between everybody, not just your party. Because some people came together, so they already know each other.
Mhm.
I wanted the mix, the organic way to create those lifelong summer camp memories.
Wow. That's like I've played in one epic so far in my entire career in D&D, and it's been a long and it was not to that level either. It was already planned that everybody was in the same area everybody was getting ready for the massive battle, and it was kind of everybody was
Hmm.
working together towards the end. But to know that you are all in different areas of this world or this place, and that everything you do not only affects you, but could affect anybody else within the party
Hmm.
or parties. Um, what kind of thought process did you have to build for this? And was
Yeah.
this a single DM like breakdown of it all? Like, did you take on everybody's stories, or did you kind of piece those out to the other game masters that you had working with you?
I largely did it. There were two game masters that I was working with um early. One just kind of bouncing ideas off of, well, when I was bouncing off ideas off of, and then there were two more that I was like, okay, I'm doing too much right now. Can I give you the outline of your hook, like of your first session? Here is how it starts. This is what I need accomplished. This is like the vibe. This is what's happening. Here's kind of the map of the world. Can you just fill in the blanks? Like I need you to, the mayor's wife left because she has been sucked into this coven and now she is like haunting him. Here are like these ABC bits. Can you like design what's in each room? I don't have time. And they're like, please let me guess. And so there are a couple things that I could like pass off, but largely just because of time, and I didn't want to like give too much to people. Like they were already doing me a huge favor. They volunteered for the first year, which I could not ask them to do any more than that. And so then I took on the rest of the project, which was also nice because I could make sure that like this detail over here matched this one. So if they ever talk, they can
Hmm.
solve this problem and stuff like that. I'm trying to think of the beginning of the question was taking that on. I don't know what the thought process was.
Yeah.
It was get it done because time was ticking. I think is really what I was thinking the whole time.
Yeah.
I know there were things like how do you please the fighting group, like the people who just want to hit and protect. Like I wanted to give everyone the chance to like show their stuff, do what they wanted to do if maybe they hadn't done it yet. So for the fighters, I know I really like this mechanic of there were a lot of um monsters at the end. And if there was a round where one of them didn't get hit, they were throwing stuff to other tables. They were throwing rocks to other tables who would hit those. So like I wanted to trigger that like protection mode in the fighters of like, we need to protect the squishy people over there because they're going
Yeah.
to get this unexpected damage. And they did. The rogues, one of the DMs brought a homebrew monster that was blind but had really good hearing. And so every round they had to make a stealth check during combat. It was inspired by what was it? Bird Box, the
Oh,
Netflix movie. And it
yeah.
was such a scary monster, but I was like, it's so perfect for like, if you want to sneak around, do it
Yeah,
and be good at it.
this is your rogues forte right here to be able and
Yes,
not only
exactly.
utilizing it in the game, but utilizing it in combat, which is very rare to
Yeah.
see.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
It was just like making like giving everyone their the thing that they want to
mhm.
do the most. That's why they pick the character. That's I mean they pick that personality.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It
Um,
was fun.
wow, I have so many questions, but I don't know where to start. I
Yeah.
don't.
Well, you can always go with your traditional three.
Oh, well, I mean, I can't do that with those three at least. Then I'll get my brain to slow down for a moment from the fan kidding that I'm doing right now in my head. So I ask all of my guests three questions. The first one is when did you start playing Dungeons and Dragons? So we'll start with that one. Or when did you start
That's
playing
yeah.
TTRPGs in general? Because not everybody starts with Dungeons and
Ooh,
Dragons.
that's very true. I actually did start with D&D. Um, I would say technically I played in my memory once as a child. My dad played in college and he had a like toolbox of pewter miniatures and dice.
Oh
And
wow.
somehow we found it and we were like, what is this? What? And so, he drew a quick map and my brother and I like we didn't even have character sheets. It was just like the most basic way to teach this to a child. And we played. And so I kind of knew what it was and I knew the concept. And then I want to say 2018 or 19, I was listening to Taz, The Adventure Zone Balance.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I need this. I need to do this. Like I have a concept, I know what this is, I know roughly how to play. And so then I was at a bachelorette party and I convinced the group to play werewolf. and we play in a very like I'm an improviser and I'm a DM, and so I want to be the host. I don't want to play. I want to like be in charge of this. And we played in the most dramatic way possible. We when the werewolf would kill someone, I have him point to somebody, and I have everyone stomp their feet and move around and make a lot of noise so that I could tap that person on the knee. They could get up and go drape themselves over something in this Airbnb. So then, and the movement is so we can't feel who gets up. And so then I was like, okay, open your eyes. And they look around and one of their friends is draped over a bar stool, dead. And we play like there are 12 of us there. So it's just getting scary and dramatic. One of the girls was on the phone outside and she got locked out because they locked the doors because they were scared. And so she's pounding on the door and the girls scream and scatter. And I was like, I've got them. And so that's how I picked up my first players for my first home campaign. I was like,
There
y'all
you
like
go.
that thing, right? Okay, there's a way we can keep doing this. And so we started playing ever since.
So you're playing the card game Werewolf, the one
We weren't
werewolf.
using cards, but yeah, essentially, yeah.
Yeah, that's a fun game.
Yeah.
Those are fun little convention games that I've played many a
Hmm.
times. But I thought
Yeah.
you meant actual werewolf. I was like, I have werewolf sitting right next to me.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do I mean? Hold
What do
on.
you mean? No, like Mafia. Is that the same?
No.
No. This is from
Oh,
No.
Renegade Games. It is built off of the original White Wolf series for World of Darkness, and it's all
So
werewolves.
I know
it's
it.
it's the same
Oh,
world build as Vampire, isn't it?
Oh, it's all World of Darkness. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So Vampire the Masquerade, Werewolf, the
Yeah.
Apocalypse, Hunter the Reckoning. Those three series all go together. I'll hook
oh.
you up as soon as we're done with the show.
Yeah, I was
I'll
like,
send you some
I'm gonna write
links.
that down. I'm like trying to focus.
But yeah, no, that's yeah. When you said werewolf, that's why my eyes got big for a second. I was like, ooh, because that's how I started in TTRPGs. I actually started with Vampire the Masquerade before I even was able to play Dungeons and Dragons. So yeah.
That's wild.
Hmm. So and then now we're at all sorts of weird things because Chuck's writing a campaign for Power Rangers, and I'm working on the One Ring right now, and it's a busy year
Busy
for
time.
the Misfits.
That's great. I think I picked up a Power Rangers one shot at Free RPG Day.
Yes.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Does
Yep.
that
It
sound
was
right?
from
Yeah, I
yep.
think I have
So
one.
they're the same company that does the Werewolf.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they do all
Especially
sorts of
fun.
stuff.
It's a fun time.
Werewolf. They do, but it's funny because they do the World of Darkness, which is all the dark and grimy stuff, and then they do Power Rangers and GI Joe and Transformers and My
Hmm.
Little
My Little Pony.
Pony.
Don't
Hmm.
forget My Little
My Little
Pony.
Yeah, My
Pony's in
Little
there. I
Pony.
remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's all the same system too.
Yep.
it's all the same system. Yeah, so you can actually play all those characters all together. Not the werewolf stuff,
Crossovers.
but you can play all
As
Crossovers.
it
those.
should be. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah. I can't imagine doing Transformers and My Little Pony together. That's the one that's throwing me off.
No, no, it works perfect, man.
Okay, got it.
Don't even know.
But yeah, so you started when you were a child, and then it kind of the spark started somewhere, but it kind of faded
Hmm.
out. And then
Hmm.
2018, you found the Adventure Zone, and then whatever was the spark had immediately relit. I love that. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
I've going to some conventions the last year or so. I've been able to hit like see some of the older content, and it's weird because I've seen two boxes that I remember my grandparents having in their basement. I didn't know what they were. I just thought it was cool, and then I saw it, and I was like, I remember playing with this, but I had no idea what I was playing with.
That's wild. That's like a
Yeah,
wave of nostalgia that's like
it
it's been there
is.
the whole time.
Yeah. And my like I said, and then for me, it was a much different experience because we weren't even allowed to play. I didn't even know what these games were until I was in high school. Um, I would just do online collaborative writing, and that's how I got into all this stuff at
Mm.
first. And that was for years before I actually knew that there were systems out there that did it for me. So it was great. Uh, so then this is be an interesting question then because that time frame is so vast between when you saw Dungeons and Dragons and when you actually got involved. But what was the spark? Because that's always a curious thing for me, is like
Mm.
what caught your attention so much that you're like, I must play this again.
Well, I think it was balance. I think it was listening to the magic that they created. I was hesitating because I say their last name so badly, McElroy's. Like, someone at my improv theater told me they're like, you specifically would like this, and I was like, okay, I don't know why they thought I would, because I don't think I had started playing, like I hadn't started playing yet, so I don't know what the connection was, and they were 1,000% right, and I was just addicted to the vibe they brought, and it was like they were learning how to play at the beginning of that campaign. So how hard could this be? Like
Right.
it's for beginners and it's for experts and it's for everybody in between. Like it's not a big deal. You can just start playing. You don't need to know all the rules, which is the hurdle for I think all games. There's nobody wants to be the rule reading person who has to now explain it. And so
Right.
a select few lucky ones of us who take that role on get to be the DMs and we get to do that special role.
Yeah, it is a special role, which is comes to my third question. When did you
Mm.
decide that it was time to put the player book down and pick up the monster manual or pick up the DM's guide? When did that transition happen and what was the reason?
It it didn't. I started as a DM
Oh, wow.
because if I wanted to play, that's what it had to be. I didn't get to
Oh,
start playing until I think like my brother ran a game or two, so like he ran like 3 sessions, I think, years ago, and then I really only started playing as a player like a year and a half ago.
okay.
Hmm.
But you've
But
been
it was DM first, yeah,
but
for
you've been
years.
DMing since 2018, but you
Hmm.
just got to play as a player 2 years ago.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Hmm.
And it was very different.
Yeah. I do recommend that every GM at least play once in the system that they're playing in. You learn something that you don't expect to learn as a player.
Yeah.
There is a different feel, and you can really gain. That's kind of mine and Beaker's goal this year was to play in so many different games that we could with different game masters to see how each person plays, because we always learn something from each person. And we went to a convention in Philadelphia just a month ago and got to play with some like old school uh, celebrities, and then we also got to play with some new school people that actually had been playing newer games. Um, but everybody plays so differently. It's very
Uh-huh.
unique. Um, our first
That's
game
such a
that
good
night,
active goal.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I've been running games for, I mean, online. I've been running games for almost 3 years now. But that's the thing is, every online game I've ran it. So it's
Yeah.
it's like, and even when I go to conventions, I run games for companies.
Hmm.
So for me,
Hmm.
it's like, how do I get better? Well, the only way I'm getting better is if I get on the other side of the table, because right now I'm thinking I know what I'm doing from the other side of the screen, but improving is the better option to get on the opposite side so that you can see what others are seeing. And I've learned a lot this year that including things that I want to take to my own online streams and tables and just at the one convention alone. So
That's such a good idea. Like I have the same thought process where like I'm trying to grind and get better actively in these different ways. And the way I had been thinking about it was like I want to run other people's campaigns. So I'm running like Dungeons in a Box. I'm running like just what anything online, see how other people write these. But that is such a good way to do it from the other side of the table to experience what are they doing that you're liking or like what do you not want to take with you. That's
Mhm.
a really good way to look at
well,
it.
if you think of this kind of, I came up with the idea about a year and a half ago when I was watching Critical Role season two, and then season three went up, and then they brought Abria in, and you could see a much different change in character of how the game is ran between Matt and Abria. And I went, well, if it's
Hmm.
that drastic on a like over the top professional level, it's going to be just as drastic for me being on the other side of the table. Um, we played in Shadow Dark, which I'm hooked right now. Um, but I got to play in it. I didn't get to run it, which I was like, okay, well, how does it to run it though? Like I'm excited
Mhm.
now to run it. Um, but yeah, I would definitely recommend before you prepare your next adventure to jump into a game, even if it's running down to the local game store or the local pub and see if you can find a game that's being ran. Jump in somebody else's game and see what you catch from it, because you'll see, as a game master, you catch more than you think. Because I do it all the time. So
For
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
I bet. Yeah, that's really interesting. I thought about sometimes just like sometimes I just want to play. Like I like to prep and I wish I could prep a little less, but sometimes I'm like, I could hop on start playing right now. Just join some game and just like drop
yeah.
in.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Be nice.
The other thing with, like I said, with playing is that you, uh, best way I'm trying to describe this would be you then get that opportunity to dive directly into one character. So you get to feel all those emotions. You get to feel all that connection with the one character. And if you continue to just pick up other people's modules, your game style doesn't change no matter the module that's
Hmm.
written. It's still the way you play. And that's what I
Hmm.
noticed is I could pick up a different game. I could pick up a different system, but still the way I played was not changing because I was stuck in that way of playing. It's not until I see how others are playing, I'm like, oh, that would be cool to add to this, or this is how I might talk about with this, or run game. Initiative order is a big one for me right now. That's one I've changed over the last year. Is I go from rolling it once to rolling it every round to having a player roll it each round to kind of spice it up from being just the same thing every round. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, and we saw that with Zeb Cook, who is the original writer for second edition Dungeons and Dragons. We when we were playing with him, that's how he runs his games, and he was running with 16 players, and I was like,
Wow.
That was
this man's
How
in
long does that
his
take?
this man's in his
What are you
70s,
doing?
and he's doing this with like it's just easy. I was like,
yeah.
oh my goodness, this is incredible. But yeah, that was one of the things I took just out of the last convention we were at, and I was like, wow. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, recommend convention games are really good. A good way to do that too. Go to a convention and don't play Dungeons and Dragons. Don't try not to. Play everything
Try
else
something
under the
else.
sun and just see how you like things. Um, or pick an old version. The first time I'd
Mm.
ever played Thaco. Everybody complains about Thaco. It's not that hard. I don't know what people complain about. It is a little bit more
People like
math.
complaining.
It is a little bit more math, but it is definitely not the struggle that people continue to say it is. So yeah, just recommendations on that one.
Well, we had a cheat sheet, so
We did have.
I
Hey,
could
he
be part of
provided.
it.
The 7-year-old man provided me a cheat sheet. I was not going to not utilize it. So,
Yeah. So,
but
Sammy, I got a question for you. What are some tricks that you use to keep your players actively engaged in the story?
Ooh. Short sessions
Okay.
is a good and easy one. I mean, mostly it's a time thing, but like if you know you have 2 hours, we need to focus regardless.
Hmm.
Like, hopefully their characters are built for the world, so they want to be there and there's a reason to want to engage. Um, Otherwise, like I'm trying to think of anything recent and specific that I've done to make them engaged. Other than like one of my favorite things to do is physical things that they can physically lean in and interact with.
Right.
I have those pens from I think it's Shop of Many Things that the ink conceals something or reveals something depending on if it's heated or chilled.
Hmm.
And so it's just like that interactive element of handing them the scroll they found, and there's like a little symbol, a fire symbol on it or something, and they're like, "Oh, okay." I put my torch to it, and I'm like, "Okay." They're like, "I do it," and I was like, "Okay, then do it." And just like giving them a hint of like, no, physically in this real life, do this. And I don't do that every session because one, that would be crazy, and two, I think it would get boring. But sprinkling in these little unusual things every once in a while, so that when it does happen, it's like the magic is fully there. But yeah, wanting them to be engaged at music. I don't know.
Okay,
Just
no,
the tone shift where it's like,
yeah,
oh shit,
for sure.
entering this room might not have been a good idea.
I love pausing music. That seems to kill that changes things immediately, and it's great.
Well, those are
You
all
forget
great
it's
tools.
going, and then it's just like,
It's quiet, and you're like,
yeah.
"What happened?"
No, yeah, because
Um, Go ahead.
introducing the tactile definitely gets everyone engaged. Having the auditory, because that benefits. If you're in person, the tactile very very much benefits everyone at the table. If you're streaming, even
Hmm.
if you're at the table, or if you're just mainly streaming, the music is definitely going to cue somebody up. So
Hmm.
those are good.
Yeah, I thought of another one. Some of my players, even though we've been playing for years, specifically my home game group, for years we've been playing since what, 2018, 19. Um, they don't know any rules at all. And they don't know anything about the lore because they're here to have a good time and they're here to play with their friends. It could be any system, and this is the one we happen to play. And so sometimes you gotta throw the rule out the window and make the player the star here. So specifically, I was thinking of this time where we have a deck of many things because they're those type of players and it works perfectly for them. And she goes, "Oh, by the way, on the in the long rest, I made a coat out of mine." And I was like, "What?" Yeah, I took them all out of the box and I made a coat. And I was like, "Mm-hmm. You did, didn't
You
you?"
have a coat of many things.
Took
Yeah,
all
and
the cards.
I think literally, technically, I think she's drawn all the cards, but that just is going to kill her because there was a death card in it, and that's
Yeah,
not fair to her or the player because she didn't know. She's like
yeah,
being creative. Like I want to reward her creativity, so I said, okay, that's great. They're all concealed, like you don't know which one is which, and it's this beautiful constant temptation for her because she wants to push the button. She wants to taste whatever the goo on the ground was. Like she knows she has this coat on. She constantly wants to pull a card off, and her party keeps her calm. But one thing that is, I think, brilliant she did was we were in a fight with a manticore, and she was like, I want to react. I want to position it so it swipes at the coat. Like she wants it to draw a card with its
Yeah,
claws. And I was
I
like,
was gonna say, if I was a goblin, that'd be the first thing I would do is run straight at her and pull the card.
yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah. These shiny dangly things, you gotta grab one.
yeah,
I was like, okay, so we did some rolls and the manticore pulled one. And the party was like, yeah, we did it. Something bad's gonna happen. It
yeah.
leveled up. Like, what a beautiful outcome to the situation.
CR increase. Whoop.
Literally,
uh,
I was like, perfect. And
do it
we
again.
play online, so it's like dramatic. I have the card here before the flip. I show him the picture and but sometimes the rules, I don't want to take the stakes away. I don't want to take the strategy aspects away, but reward your players for creativity.
Oh
That was
yeah, that was
what a fun
choice.
one.
Yeah, I definitely would state that if they're gonna, especially something like that, where like they're building, and the idea would be to draw it. It'd be like, okay, so everything's folded inward, so you can't see anything, of course. So now you
Exactly.
have this shimmering,
Hmm.
shimmering coat of, or you could always have been like, okay, what was the last card that you had to sew on? Okay, now this is the one that actually activates.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
But she'd be like, great.
like
We pulled half the deck, and it's incredible that no one's died yet.
nobody's pulled the death card
We
yet.
we did end on the last session. She pulled a card. I don't know why, probably just for fun. It's the Death Avatar, and I'm so excited. So it started appearing before her, and then we ended the session because we had to go. So
Oh my goodness!
can't wait. They're in the middle of a boss fight. So yeah,
Even better.
Wow.
yeah, I know it's gonna be a
That's
good one.
good.
Uh,
Yeah. So then the question is, does death appear, or is death actually going to happen? You know.
mm-hmm,
Yes.
And it's
The
fun
answer
though,
is
because
yes.
like you
mm-hmm.
said, is the death avatar. I mean, that could literally just drop a monster right there. And like, well, here's could be your death.
Yeah,
Like, that's awesome.
literally.
Um, there was a podcast 3 or 4 years ago that was designed all around the deck of many things.
Yeah.
The guy that he created, or he was one of the writers for, or one of the presidents for D&D Beyond at the time, Kendrick. I can't remember his first name. Brain's not working. But yeah, they did it, and the first card they pulled was Ruin, the Ruin card, and everything in the town started to crumble and yeah, so then they had to figure out how to
Oops.
solve that puzzle while they were in the town. So it was intense. But yeah, all the cards were
So
gone.
fun.
So it was like, where did the cards end up was the question. And when they come to towns and stuff, they find out what the card that actually has affected the town is, or the area was. So yeah,
That's cool. Yeah, I saw it come out. I never got the chance to play it, but I was like, this is perfect.
yeah, that's awesome.
Such a good idea.
Um,
I
man,
got a bit of a two-parter for you now,
yeah, go
since
for
I
it.
stumped you on the last one I did for you. Um, what would you consider as your biggest high and lowest low as either a DM or a player?
Interesting. Um, Biggest high, I'll go. I'm debating because like a camp was like a dream come true.
Sure.
It's such an easy one, but I'm gonna put camp aside just to like I can't talk about camp all the time. I mean, I can, but I feel like I shouldn't. But my work friends and I was I was running a adventuring academy school. Not a magic school, but like a school for adventurers, all the classes. Because I feel like, barbarian's gonna get left out of the magic schools
Yeah,
and I don't want to limit what you play. So play whatever you want. It's an adventuring school. And we were hitting the tropes because they were one shots. Like work is unpredictable, so maybe everyone can't play this time, and I can fit in different groups and mix and match them. And because it's school, so you can play with whoever you want.
right.
Like you have different classes. So we did spring break, we did not graduation, final exams, there was a makeup test. And then we're like, oh, okay, I think I'm gonna wrap this up because I had to start writing camp. And so I was like, let's do prom. And so instead of just playing prom, we hosted a prom. We decorated my friend's backyard. We got it catered. We dressed up for this occasion,
Oh
and we hosted this
wow.
huge prom with like all the players from that session because or from the world. Well, not a lot of the players from the world were there because there were several sessions because there's a lot of students. So it was like something that
Right,
I could, invite people to at work randomly and not limit the amount of players I have.
right.
Mhm.
And so there were 10 students around this long table. And it was just like a really beautiful night where it felt like we were at prom. And then the stakes of the game were high because I knew that was like, I can't run for months. So it was definitely a deadly game. There were moments where we did like a raffle because it's prom, right? And so we raffled off tickets and people got like the little dragon pin. It's a school's emblem. And then somebody got an envelope that was a deal with the devil, who was the bad guy. And it was if you I'll give you a free crit, but I get one too. And so there was a moment where a player was having a life or death moment, and it was
Decision.
it was like I was just like, no, I have this, I want to make a deal with the devil. And no one at the table knew what she was talking about. They didn't know what the envelope had said. And so she's standing, I'm standing, like it's this really dramatic encounter trying to make this thing work. And like it was the momentum had swelled the entire time. She couldn't save this person. Two people ended up dying, two players ended up dying. And then at the end, we're doing our epilogues and there's still students at the school. Like it's sad, but like you do have class. Like you are gonna have to go to class in a couple of weeks, once you grieve a little bit. And during the epilogue, this teacher came in and threw these backpacks of holding at the students and was like, what did she say? It was, are you guys, hold on, I think I wrote it down because I was thinking about it earlier today. She said, who's ready to go to hell? We've got some souls to save. And they just erupted like they want to save their friends so bad. And that is like one of my highs. It was such a cool moment. We had a girl at the table who what didn't really, I don't know if she didn't like the game, but like I just think that the way she was introduced to it, like she didn't get it, it wasn't for her. Maybe she wasn't always invited to the table. And like, oh my God, she almost made me cry at the table. Like everybody had such a good time. Like, oh, such a high for me. Low would be as a player, I think. We're going directly into it. I think my lowest low would be um my friends group was playing Strahd, and the way it was ran was ruthless in a in a way that was very well done, I'll say, but people were having nightmares. Like it
Oh
wasn't good for the
my.
people above the table, and I wish I had the maybe the foresight or the just like I don't know, guts to be like I'm we shouldn't play this anymore.
Yeah, we've
Like
stepped
as a
over a line where now
Gotcha.
I'm not able to sleep
yeah,
tonight.
like as a player, there was a session where I couldn't remember what happened because it was like my character was getting dragged around by her neck and it was just very dramatic and there was no chance that she could survive this thing and I just like I feel like I blacked out for the rest of the
Oh
session just like
wow.
the character and afterwards I'd be like what happened because I don't have a memory of tonight.
Oh, wow.
Like there's something wrong there and like high stakes,
Yeah.
yes, great. But it really like cracked. It put a crack in things, I think.
Yeah. Um,
I wish I yeah, could
we will
not have.
we'll use that as a quick plug in for our friends over there at Deck of Player Safety. Definitely use safety
Mm.
tools for stuff like that specifically. Um, but if you are looking for one and you have or have a need for one and it's free, you can go to DemiPlay and they have a Deck of Player Safety free version online that you can use for, and it's one of my favorite things to use for safety tools. He's definitely done a incredible job just giving the opportunity to let people share what their triggers are without anybody else knowing that that's who shared it, which is great. So
That's great. Yeah.
yeah, and I would recommend you reaching out to him directly for camp next year because he has provided conventions and stuff to those cards as well. So
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, we definitely did a session zero, and I've been fortunate to be around a lot of players who are not shy about that. They're like, yo, no, nobody's fingernails will be pulled off their fingers because I will pass out at the table. Like, which I love the confidence to do that because I think it makes other people um
want to do
feel
it
confident
too.
as well to speak up. But like sometimes you can't and you need a system to be able to
Yeah,
do that. And sometimes you don't know what your trigger is.
yeah, and
And
that's
so
why
in the moment you're like,
I
ugh.
like the deck for that reason because it gives
Hmm.
you 30, 40 cards and you're like, you go through and you're like, child abuse, like, let's put that one
Uh-huh.
down, this
Uh-huh.
one and this, and yeah, even somebody like, normally I'll go in a game and be like, yep, anything goes. After becoming a dad,
Hmm.
there are certain
Hmm.
things that I'm still a little I'm like, no, we can talk about like something happening, but if it becomes personal, we're gonna have bigger. I'm not gonna be able to do it. So, um,
Yeah, I think there's just some like go-tos. Like my games will never have sexual assault. I think if you want that, do
yeah,
something else. I don't know. Like I
that
just
one,
don't see how
that
it
one
could
to me,
be
I
in the
don't see the
game.
point of it
Yeah.
in a game like this.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah, or like yeah. I have a couple
Um,
like super John Wick lovers like we're not messing with your dogs. No one's gonna
yeah,
kill your dog.
yeah,
Pets are pets are off limits because what? I don't know. Little things, you know.
yeah. I'm not gonna be. I'm not gonna say that I've not done that, and in the meaning for
You
that
kill a
reason
pet.
too. Oh yeah, yeah, I've definitely, especially we have a couple players in different groups of mine that they want to be the zookeeper, and I'm like, are you taking care
Oh,
of all of them? Are
yeah.
you taking care of all of them? And they're like, and they'll forget for weeks. And I was like, so what happened to the squirrel? And they're like,
Hmm.
um, I was like, you haven't fed the squirrel in three. Like we've been in the game in game for 2 months, and you haven't fed the squirrel
Hmm.
once. They're like, I was like, yeah, pull it out of your bag. Squirrel's like it's completely
No.
stiff. Be like, no squirrel. But yeah, every once in a while I'll do that. Or if that becomes a focus point for my players a lot of times, because if I need players to react a certain way or I want them to jump on a specific quest or whatnot, well, the creature starts looking at the animal as lunch.
Hmm.
Oh, some
Hmm.
reason now the players are now interested in killing this creature because their pet is getting ready to become lunch. Like they're just triggers. But I will tell you, I won't kill the dog. There's something about dogs, dogs, wolves, cats, that kind of thing.
Yeah, cats, you can't kill a cat. Yeah.
Yeah. We do have a Question from Heroes of Evermore. It says, didn't Johnny Stanton go to this camp as well?
He did.
Yeah.
He was one of our DMs actually, and I told him this at camp. I said, I think you missed your calling, bud. He should have been a camp counselor. Like, he has the perfect energy to be at camp. It was incredible. He posted even like I was like doing a tug of war, like we're doing tug of war,
Yeah.
but as much effort as I can put into it, I will never be as loud as his normal voice. I can't. And so he was like, "Okay, I'm gonna do this one." And I was like, "Please do this one." Like
Please do this one.
he just has that energy. He can really hype up like the entire group. He's a hype man. He's a pet man. Like
Yeah.
he's like, "I'm gonna do your introduction before you do opening ceremonies." And I was like, "Please, please do." Like
So is there
he's such a
anybody
good
else
DM
that you
too.
got opportunity to play or to run? Or are they just
Um,
locals?
a little bit of both. James Hayek was one of our DMs, and
Oh,
they
wow.
were amazing and so helpful. They're who I was bouncing stuff off of early on in the process, which was like incredibly helpful. And they were like, "Oh, I've never done an epic either, but you know who has?" And he was like, "Emails, emails, emails." And I was like, "This is perfect." We
Yeah.
had two locals, Zach Macias and Liam Weinstock, who were just incredible and so helpful. They're the ones who were like, let me take something off your plate. Like, what can I do?" And then 7 days before camp, 8 days before we had a DM drop out for family reasons. So 7 days before, Katiosaurus said, "Do
Oh,
you guys cuss on
nice.
this channel?"
We do.
She said, "Fuck it, let's ball." 7 days before camp. And I was like, okay, I need to get on a call with you because this is gonna sound crazy if you see this doc, like because it's all intertwined, right? And it's like
Yeah.
there's so many sessions and the stories are intertwined and everything looks crazy. And I was like, let me just get on a call and explain this to you. And she's like, let's go. I got this.
That's
And
awesome.
she didn't skip a beat. Like I was so lucky to have her there. It was yeah,
Yeah,
they were all
she's a great game
incredible.
master. Johnny's a great
Hmm.
game master. James
Johnny's
Hayek though.
amazing, yeah.
James Hayek though, amazing opportunity right there alone.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah,
And they're just like great. Like
yeah.
even just spending
Well,
time in their
your
space
area
was
though.
great.
I mean, I'm not going to be like a little bit jealous, but the area you live in is kind of that motive too.
Yeah,
So
we're a little rich
uh,
with talent. Yeah,
yeah,
LA is a good spot.
yeah. So yeah, we were out in yeah Heroes of Evermore, who runs Mysticon out in San Diego. Um, Johnny was out there. Todd Stashwick was out there. We were out there, or I was out there. A couple other people that or have been on the show were all out there, and yeah, we got pictures of this giant book that they uh, made as like a prop for Sync, and it was ridiculous. But yeah, uh,
Incredible.
so how many people did you guys have?
We had 30 campers and 6 DMs, so 36 people total.
Nice.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Just like
Have you?
a the camp amount. I wanted you to be able to like meet and talk to everybody versus it being a little too big. There would just be people that you would never interact with, you know.
Right. Yeah. I've.
Well, so how big do you think next year's will be?
I think I want to keep it the same size. 6 parties feels right. And if I keep structuring the same way, like I'm going to change mechanics because you got to keep them guessing. But roughly 6 parties is a good group to compete against each other to build storylines for. So I that's why I kind of want to double weekends versus expand size wise.
I think that'd be smarter too. I mean, because you get so you're going to run two different weekends
Hmm.
back to back, or
Yeah,
either
Coachella
back
weekend
to
one,
back.
Coachella weekend two. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Uh, some camp games, activities at Mysticon 25. Let's chat now. Yeah. Yeah. So,
Great.
yeah. So he's, like I said, he runs a small convention out in San Diego. So he definitely right up your guys' alley.
Yeah, it sounds great.
But
I actually was able to go last year and it was really nice.
you were there?
I bought too much stuff. Yeah.
Oh, so I was there. So I was, what was I was running games for some of it, but yeah. Yeah, Mysticon
Yeah,
was a good
I
time.
didn't, but maybe next year we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully I get out there again. We're talking. But
Nice. Yeah, yeah.
with me being on the East Coast, I have to have some sort of incentive to get there because that's too far of a drive for me. So, but yeah, let's see here. What else can we talk about? I mean, we're wrapping up here. I guess here's a. If you have any questions, you're welcome to ask those as well.
Hmm.
But Yeah. Let me see if anybody else has any questions. At this point, what we normally call this is happy hour, and this is where the audience actually can put questions in. So if you're out in the audience right now and you have questions for Sammy or myself or Chuck, just shoot them in the chat room and we'll get those out. You got anything else, Chuck?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just impressed with you being able to go from, yeah, I'm having fun doing this home game to, you know what? My sights are set on running a camp in like 6 months. I'm gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
give you all the praise for that one.
What was?
I
Thank you.
Oh, now I'm curious because you just said that I didn't hear that if I missed it. What was the timeline between I want to do this and I'm there?
Oh, well, I bought the domain in 2021
Okay.
and I like told a couple people about it. And then maybe a year before camp, one of my friends was like, "Are you going to do your camp or not?" And I was like, "You remembered it." I was like, "Oh." And so I was like, actually, like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And it took me about a year. Like I was touring campsites and kind of getting things together. And then once I like signed that, I'm thinking maybe I signed a contract 10 months before camp. And then it was like, oh, there's money in this. Like, I need to actually
I
like
put an
do this
investment
now.
down
it's
now.
Yeah,
real
like
now.
there's
You
a
sign
yeah,
ink to paper.
deposit.
It's real.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
put zeros behind this talk. Now I'm in trouble. I have to do this.
yeah. I was like, okay, now I was like, oh crap, that means I'm running a business. Didn't consider that. I didn't think about that. I just wanted to have
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. No,
So
I
much
can
logistics.
respect that and understand completely because we're in the process of rebranding and restructuring the business and
Yeah.
everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there's a lot to it that I don't want to deal with.
It's crazy.
But you have
I
to,
gotta stumble our
especially
way
as
through it.
yeah, we're stumbling our way through it. So we'll I can't
That's how you do it.
yeah. Hopefully though it does come with some sort of benefit outside of camp. Hopefully it has grown your community and your friendships and things like
Mm-hmm.
that, which sounds like you have a pretty good network as is with the people you were able to gather a hold of. So
Yeah, it was really nice. Like I want to say like I got lucky with the crew I had because I couldn't ask for anything else. And I'm inviting all of them back next year because that what like of course they're
of
invited
course.
back. Like incredible. And then the little camp community, like we all went to Guildhall for my birthday and I was like, guys, so nice. We
That's
just always
So,
awesome.
knew D&D friends.
so in preparation for next year,
Hmm.
A, how soon can people sign up if they want to sign
Hmm.
up? And where do they sign up?
Good question. They're going to sign up at dungeonsandcabins.com. Before that, they can get on the mailing list to make sure that they get the most up-to-date information. They know exactly the date of registration, which isn't out yet because I don't know it yet, but I think it's going to be, I think you can start registering in March or April for a late summer, early fall camp. I have the date. It's just, not out there
You
yet.
can't
Not
say it
out
yet.
there yet. It's hidden.
Yeah, it's a hidden date. Yeah.
All right. Keep your eyes peeled, everybody. Is what.
Uh-huh.
Yes, keep your
Hmm.
eyes peeled.
Yeah. Dungeonsandcabins.com, and then you'll have all the information. It'll be there, and you can, yeah.
Will it be at the same campsite or are you going somewhere else?
Yeah.
Okay.
This year will be at the same campsite. They really like they're really great people over there, and they really worked with us to help us create the camp we wanted to make because this isn't what they normally do. I mean, nobody normally does this.
This.
And we were like, we want to drink. And they're like, And I was like,
Hmm.
please. They're like, just okay. Well, and so we figured out some rules of how that can happen and kind of really make it our own thing in our own space in this campsite.
Have you looked into maybe doing a version of this for kids?
No, I've thought about it, but I just feel like logistically that feels crazy to me. Like to be
Oh,
responsible
bugger.
for an adult, you're responsible for yourself. You're a grown adult.
Absolutely.
Kids, that feels I wouldn't even know the first step to making sure they're okay the whole time at an
That's a
overnight
whole other
camp.
level of
Yeah.
liability.
Yeah, the level of like,
Yeah.
well, like I said, I don't know what the campsite itself would be willing to associate with something like this. I know a lot of like church, summer camps and things like that. Like they're built for that type of mentality. So
Yeah, for sure.
or
This one
maturity?
actually, there were a lot of kids there. Like we are not the only people on that campsite. It's huge.
Oh,
And so
okay.
we were seeing there was like a Girl Scout troop down the road from us, and there was a I don't know, a bunch of I don't know what they were. Like we'll say outdoorsy kids. I don't know what they were.
Right.
But I'm sure they have structures in place, but I think that they run those.
That's what
I
I'm.
don't I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With it not being built strictly for like a summer camp mentality, and there's because like you said, there was multiple groups going on at the same time. That would make
Yeah,
sense that it
yeah.
wouldn't be structured the same way.
Yeah, it's so big there. Like they do adult retreats. Like they do a lot of you can kind of make it truly your own experience.
Yeah.
And then it's their like kitchens, it's their chefs and bakers. Like the food was incredible. So it was like I just kept telling myself during the process, I was like, at a minimum, we're gonna have food. So we're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
It's gonna be good food. That's all we need. We're gonna be
Got
fine. I
food.
like kept telling
I've been
myself
allowed
that.
to drink now. We should be fine.
Yeah.
Like
Everything
the
we need. We're fine,
everything
guys.
is
We're
fine.
fine.
Um, no, this sounds absolutely incredible, and I'm hoping that it grows at least to 2 weekends this year because I think
Hmm.
it's definitely gonna grow. The growth of D&D in general over the last 5 years has been absolutely astronomical. Um, but yeah, I wish you all the luck on this. This is such a cool opportunity and a cool project.
Yeah.
And like
Thanks.
us, it's not your day job, so it's just a passion project that has become
Literally.
something much
Yeah.
more. Which I think that's kind of what we do.
Hmm.
So, does anybody else in the audience or the chat room have any questions? Otherwise, I think we're gonna wind down for the evening. It has been a long day for Beaker and and tomorrow does not slow down as we have more interviews for our upcoming show. Um,
Amazing.
but yeah, any last words from you about Dungeons and Cabins or yourself or anything?
Um, let's see. My last words will um, be nice to your fellow campers. That's what I'll leave you with. Just,
Hey, that
everyone I've
works.
met so far has been so nice. Like it's such a joy to talk to everybody in this community. I just want that to keep going.
Well, that's what we're here for. That's what we do every
Yay!
week. We bring new guests. Um, any last words, Chuck?
Uh, no, other than, thank you for joining us. Other than Dungeons and Cabins, where else can we find you? Is there anywhere else we
Um,
can find you?
yeah, yeah, roughly. I'm at Glickety on Instagram, Glickity for my personal account. And those are really the only two places that I exist is my Instagram personal account and the Dungeons and
Hey,
Cabins
that's fine. All
Instagram.
good.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
I feel that and I respect that because that's about
yes.
where I'm at with this. I'm about to turn off my TikTok. I'm about to turn off
I
some other things.
know.
I'm like,
I
I just need
know.
one
Overload.
platform. It's so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I agree.
Again, I want to thank you for your time being here. It was wonderful listening to Dungeons, Cabins, and finding out that there's, still adult day weekend camps.
you were going to say
You
Um,
guys,
daycares?
no, no, I was gonna say day
I
camp,
mean,
but it's kind of a daycare, I guess.
it's an overnight camp, but daycare is something I could put on the list. That could be very, very fun. Yeah.
Trademark.
Yeah. You guys, thank you so much
Um,
for having me. This
Oh,
was
no,
this was really great. I love just chatting with you guys and talking about camp and talking about D&D in general.
definitely.
And I gotta look up this werewolf game later.
We'll talk.
for sure.
We'll
Hmm.
talk after the stream. If you're ever looking for a game master, I'm happy to come and join.
Hell yeah.
I always love doing this kind of stuff with people.
Amazing.
But for those that
And
are
you
out
were a
there,
camper.
I am a camper.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Perfect.
For those out there that have never been, go check out dungeonsandcabins.com and keep an eye out. Hopefully, there won't be one, but multiple next year. And go have a little fun, roll some dice, and meet new friends. This is Tavern Talks. This is Last Call. I'm your barkeeper for the evening with my co host here, Beaker. And once again, we'll be back next week with a new guest each and every week. Tune in tomorrow. Yes,
Yes, tomorrow.
yes, tomorrow. Let you talk about that real fast, and then we'll close it out.
Yeah, join me tomorrow. Opening up the garage, and we're going to continue working on the RX 78-2 Gundam. Old Grandpa himself.
Awesome. Until then, have a good drink, and we'll see you tomorrow.